with you. Insight to the End Times, episode number 222. We've been looking at where we are in God's timetable as we approach the end of the age, as we approach the end of the life on earth as we know it. We have had over 200 episodes in past months that will describe all these prophetic events in the Bible. Matthew 24, for instance, all through the book of Revelation. Looking at the perilous times Paul referred to in 2 Timothy chapter 3, and in 1 Timothy chapter 4, when he said in these last days or the latter times, some will depart from the faith, giving heed, paying attention to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. We have this all around us. Things are changing rapidly. Yesterday we finished, we looked at the World Economic Forum and what they're all about, because this is an organization that, to me, is rallying people around the world to support something that's of an antichrist spirit. It's that simple. And I want to share a little bit more with you today on that. Do you realize that most of us, most people everywhere, including you, you're busy. You have all kinds of things going on. You have a job, or you have a career, you have a family, you have kids, you have school projects to do, you have things to look after, you have parents who are getting older and they need to be cared for. There's no lack of things to keep you busy, and you're so busy that you may or may not have time to keep abreast of what's really going on in the world. If you listen to the news, if you watch the broadcasts, if you read what's in the papers or in the headlines over your smartphones, you're going to get a slanted view, in most instances, of what they want you to hear and know. We have newspapers that are right-leaning. We have newspapers that are left-leaning. You probably don't even know which direction your newspaper or your source of news leans. That has a profound impact on what kind of news you're getting and what you're understanding about it. But the World Economic Forum is in its 52nd year of existence, and its founder, Klaus Schwab, he wants to redefine capitalism in new terms. Let me read a quote that I took out of a newspaper report from a right-leaning paper, all right? It says, all societies should be subject to an international class of theoretical regulators. Already I'm concerned. All societies should be subject to an international class of theoretical regulators who would enforce the interests of everyone in society, in their activities, and in the entire private sector. This is the fourth industrial revolution. It will fuse together the physical, the digital, and the biological worlds. It will impact all disciplines, all economies, and all industries. And it will even challenge the idea of what it means to be human. Now, if that doesn't cause you concern, if that doesn't cause you to be really concerned, then you're not paying enough attention to what's going on in the world, because that's serious stuff. Here's what the book, The Great Reset, that was released following the 2020 pandemic, and because of COVID, it just seemed to have this covering that was able to get into the mainstream, and it prevents a full expose on the WEF's ambitions over the last 50 years. Here's how one author described their strategy. Pay attention, listen. The whole concept of the Great Reset is based on the fervent endorsement of democracy. Sounds good. And based on that introductory set of words, that sentence, you might be in support of that. You might be in favor of that. But listen to the rest. A fervent endorsement of democracy as long as everyone votes for increased public sector authority. That means we have to vote in favor of the government taking over every aspect of our life. In pursuit of green egalitarianism and the homogenization of all people in a conformist world. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What have you heard of the Antichrist's desire when he comes on the scene in the last 7 years of life on earth? He wants a one world government that he's in charge of. In fact, at the midpoint of the tribulation period, he will move into the holy city, Jerusalem, into the temple, and sit in the temple as if he were God and demand everyone pay obeisance to him. Wow. Let me go on. In more simpler terms, this is again one of the comments. The WEF proposes Marxism. That's authoritarianism masquerading as gentle world idealism. And that's how they are managing to convince people that they are good and not bad. This is Tower of Babel stuff, folks. This is the kind of stuff that was going on in Noah's day. Unrighteousness leading God to say, I wish I had never created mankind. I will destroy them. So please, don't bury your head in the sand. Don't look away. Pay attention. We have seen the pandemic tell us how to live, where to live, when to live, etc. We allowed our governments to take authority over us and shut down our churches, shut down our stores. The mom and pop stores were almost legislated out of life, out of existence. Only big box stores and so on. This is the Tower of Babel stuff. Again, I say it. Don't bury your head in the sand. These are indicators of how close we are to the very end. And with that, we conclude this week's podcast, and I'll see you next week for a whole new set of materials. Call you blessed. Amen.